Good morning, all, and welcome to the Daily Whatever Show. I am Dana, and today is Thursday, which means it is Fine Feminist Hour here on the Daily Whatever Show. You are not imagining things. That is not Lawrence Winterman here with me on the screen. In case there was any ambiguity about that, Carola Goodkin, welcome to the show. And every time I have you on, it's been just long enough that I'm like, I am saying your first name right, aren't I?
You got it. That was perfect.
Good. It's like, because in my head now, I'm like, it's like Kamala. You have to say the accent on the first syllable. Carola Goodkin, bestseller in parenting on Substack. I saw you hit #1 a couple months back and cheered in my living room. Fabulous writer. I think we can now say frequent guest on the Daily Whatever Show. I think it's your third time here.
It is my third time. I'm so honored.
We're gonna call that frequent. Can you introduce yourself more to the fine folks at home while I give Kira her daily please be quiet,
Oh,
Brian?
well, that's a little distracting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's wonderful to be here. I don't know if there's other West Coast folks on the call, but 7 a.m. for me. Still waking up
Girls,
a little bit.
same.
But yeah, I think I got some notice that it was my 3-year Substack anniversary recently. So I guess I've been on the platform for about 3 years now, and
Oh,
write
congrats.
a lot. Yeah, yeah. Took me a while to get started on Substack. I was very intimidated by it. But I feel like I got into my swing in about the first year mark. But it's been a wild and fun ride.
It has. God, I feel like knowing that now, that almost makes you a veteran among Substackers because I feel like so many of us came over like Q1 2025 when everything went to hell in the world and on Medium. A
Yes.
whole bunch of us, like I was eyeballing Substack for months and months, maybe even over a year, and just being like, I can't take that on. It seems too scary. And I'm so glad I finally did. But that's not really what we're here to talk about today. We've got a very light, easy topic, parenting teens and tweens. Like, it's pretty easy, right?
No, I know. I don't even know why we need an hour for this. We could solve this in 5 minutes.
It's super easy. They already know everything. Um, what else do we need to tell you about? I mean, I think that's it, right? You just set them loose with some, I don't know, some ramen and frozen dinners, and they're just kind of ready to do whatever they want to do. I'm pretty sure it's how it works.
Yeah.
Works. Um, I am looking for some reason, I am not showing up as live yet. I want to join the chat, is what I'm doing before we fully get going and get immersed. I am also, while I'm trying to get the chat to show over here, I'm going to pull up this wonderful essay that you shared yesterday ahead of coming on the show. And I believe that this one is an older story that you have reshared.
Yeah, I made some updates. It was one of my earliest stories on Substack. So my daughter was 12 when I originally wrote it. She is now
Mhm.
14, and my son is almost 11. So I feel very, very even more deeply enmeshed in the tween and preteen parenting phase.
Yes, and I'm here slightly from your future because mine are 18 and almost 16. 2
Uh-huh.
girls. No boys, so 2 girls. And it is a ride. It is a ride for sure. Oh, look, I'm finally showing as live. Nope. I love it when that happens. Hello to everyone in the chat. I'm gonna say a quick hi here, and I'm gonna share this article, so that you can all follow along because I found this one, this might be a strange thing to say, and I'm going to ask it as a question instead of just stating it, because I'm also revisiting old essays and resharing them on my I Write Out Loud project. Do you find that pre and post Trump, your stories, you read them and there's sort of a quaintness to the olden days that no longer fits, or it doesn't fit quite right? Do you find this too, or is it just me? Like,
Well,
did you
are you
find it
talking about
revisiting this?
pre second term Trump? I
Yes,
feel like we okay.
100%. Trump
Right.
V2. Trump V2.
Yes, yes. Um, I I do. It is interesting revisiting old essays.
Yeah.
I actually feel this might be counterintuitive, but I feel a little more solution oriented now. I feel like there was a time when it just felt like everything was falling apart, both in my personal life and in the broader world. And I was just grappling with that. I'm very much a kind of right to process person. So I don't
Okay.
necessarily wait years to gain perspective, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I feel like for other people who are in it, it can be helpful, and it's helpful for me. So I'm gonna keep doing it. Not to say I certainly like to look back and reflect on things and see if I have any newfound insights or wisdom. But yeah, I do find that some of my earlier stories were just like, oh my God, what's going on? I don't know. I don't know what to do. And this is really depressing. So I would say that was true of the story. The story yesterday certainly didn't offer solutions. It was very much about I'm grappling with with the loss of control that comes with parenting tweens and teens. You
100%.
you really put so much effort into kind of curating their world for so many years. And as they start to branch out and spend time with friends, and their social lives start to take precedence, you really feel that slipping away, and it's exciting. There's more freedom for me and their independence. That it's also terrifying because I'm
Yep.
releasing them into a world that's not values aligned. I mean, I think that's really the crux of it. And to your point, has become even less so since Trump's second term, and it's really scary.
It really is. Um, yeah, it really is. And we're going to get into it in 1 second. I'm going to do something weird here. I've never done this live before. I feel like my lens is dirty. I don't know if that made a difference, but, I'm looking at
Just a little
myself and I'm
slightly.
like, "Why do I feel like I'm in like a, what was that? The photo booth in the mall, not the photo booth, but like
Hmm.
people would go to the mall, glamour
Glamour
shops."
photos,
I feel
yeah.
like I'm in like a glamour shop where they're trying to make me like do this and like look younger by hazing, smearing coconut oil on the lens or something. I don't even know. I don't know if that helped, but it's fine. Everyone look at Carolyn, don't look.
Karen says it's fine. She said.
Thank you. I just had to do a quick moment there. So in this essay, you have this. I'm wondering if you had a moment as you were writing it and kind of sorting through your own feelings as a mom, where you realized that it was bigger than just surviving mood swings. Can you like talk about that moment when you realized it's not just about me? This is a cultural thing that a lot of people will find relatable.
Yeah. Well, I even go back a little further. When I started writing online, and I was on Medium originally. My vision was just kind of um, a funny parenting blog about. My daughter is very different from me in a lot of ways. She's very intense, very outspoken, um, and it's always been a challenge.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to set boundaries with her, and kind of rein her in while also encouraging that fortitude and intensity, that I think will hopefully serve her in life. So um, that was kind of my original vision. It was gonna, make light, or at least help other parents laugh through some of the challenges. But it was kind of going to be another parenting blog. And then I think actually with the first Trump presidency, which was just we were, let's see, I started in fall of 2020, so we were a few months into that, and I realized, parenting is not just this little thing we do in our homes, even though it's often portrayed as this like individual thing we do after hours when we're not working. It is very, very much tied to social justice, and very, very much
Yeah.
tied to all of these broader social and economic forces. And
So
I think
true.
that's been driven home even more since my kids have become older, because suddenly they're starting to see the world for what it is. And I think it's confusing and scaring them. They're like, why? Why are people mean? Why are people racist? Why are people sexist? And uh, It's just a lot to grapple with, and I don't feel like we should have to struggle alone in that regard. I don't feel like this is something we can even solve individually in our own family homes.
No, and there was something you just said that my mind is noodling on. It was around raising a daughter who's really different than you are, who's more outspoken, and how do you maintain boundaries while also, um, like, fortifying that part of her? And I feel like there's a generational question in here because I think we're both Gen X. I think you're a little younger than I am. You're probably borderline millennial.
I'm right borderline, but I certainly identify more with Gen X.
Gotcha. And Lawrence and I always talk about how Gen X is, we're a fulcrum generation and we're here to heal generational trauma. And
Love that.
yeah, thank you. The way that at least I was parented, and I'm guessing maybe you were parented, was when if I was defiant in any way, that got squelched. Like it was all about parenting through that instinct and shutting it down so that I became more obedient, more docile, easier to parent. But it took me at least years of my life to come into that power that I really needed to get through the world, right?
Mhm.
And uh, maybe because this is a feminist show, or maybe because I have two daughters, I'm really interested in hearing more about how you parent your daughter. Who in the story, let me find the quote. You describe rage as something that doesn't become the gentler sex. And I know you're being tongue in cheek when you say that, but how do you teach your daughter to own her righteous anger, while still being able to parent with boundaries? This is something I struggle with all the time.
Yeah. I can't say I have any answers in that regard.
No, I'm
Um,
counting on you to tell me how to do this.
yeah. Um, I let's see. So back to how I was parented.
Yeah.
I would say that it, I don't feel like my parents necessarily emphasized obedience a lot. I mean, certainly I got sent to my room on very rare occasions. I was also, I guess, naturally a very compliant child. I did not like to get in trouble. And even though I was raised in this very progressive space in San Francisco, which is a school that was founded by hippies that started off with sheets that separated the classrooms, like it was very much this like crunchy upbringing in a lot of ways. But I still understood on some level that we reward compliance in children. Like I was seen as a good student,
Yep. You're
and
a
a
good
good kid
kid.
because I
Yep.
could sit still in class and I wasn't disruptive. I didn't really challenge my parents a lot, and if I did, it was behind their backs, and they never knew, and didn't have to deal with it.
Right.
I could be very crafty in that way because I did not like to get in trouble. Um, and I was also raised to, and I don't think this is a message my parents explicitly drove home, but I really felt like, oh, okay, feminism, we solved that, back in the civil rights era.
Right.
I had two working parents. I I just, growing up, did not have a lot of reason to question gender equity. And in fact, the people I knew who identified as feminists, I kind of rolled my eyes at them. I'm like,
Right.
we don't still need that, right? So I
Right.
would say
Yeah.
that was, yeah, that was the rudest awakening for me. Yeah, I always thrived in school, and I thought, I have as much opportunity as the next boy. I'm doing great, but a lot of those skills
Yeah.
I learned in school didn't really translate into the working world for me, or the broader post school world.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I mean, that's been a challenge with both my kids.
Yeah.
Is figuring out I fully, I come from a family of teachers. I fully support education, and I feel like there is still some that definition of like a good kid or a good student is still very much the same. And I know, and yeah, this isn't a dig at teachers or school. Teachers have way too much on their plates and they can't
You know.
deal with the classroom of people who are all following their own rules. Like I get the need for rules and I get why,
Everyone
it's
be an iconoclast. Oh my god.
you need some like group agreements for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but my daughter, especially starting in fifth grade, uh, really started to question a lot of the rules at school. And she had some really good points. And she felt like no one was listening to her. And for me as a parent, I was like, on the one hand, I really would like to stop getting calls from your teacher and the principal. That would be
Right.
really nice. I have a lot going on. This is not very much fun. And on the other hand, I don't want you to feel like in order to be good and successful, you just need to blindly follow these rules. So it's really been a dance between
Ooh,
and in the home, it's the same thing too. It's like we need some group agreements in the house.
right.
If you have an opinion, I do want to carve out time and space to hear that, but like sometimes I just need you to do the shit I'm asking you to do
Right.
right now because I don't have much time and we're trying to get out the door. So yeah, I
Yes.
can't.
We live in a society, child, and that means we all follow certain rules. There's a certain sense of priority.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, it is, and yours is 14.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
She'll
got
be
some of your,
15 in November. Yeah.
so is
Yeah.
that ninth grade? Is that high school?
She will be going into high school next year.
Okay, so she's still in middle school. Boy, you've got some years ahead of you.
I know. I know. Although I have to say, in my particular case, fifth grade has been the hardest year so far. Actually, back
Really?
when I wrote that story, I was kind of coming out of a very, very difficult year. And that goes back to the loss of control. So I feel like so much of our teen years are dictated by the social groups that they fall into, and we don't, as
Right.
parents, have a lot of control over that. Um, and she happened to kind of reconnect with some friends in middle school and fall into a social group that was not vaping during recess on the playground like some of her fifth grade friends. And it was just,
Oh,
I'd like to say that I played some role in her having some pretty good middle school years, and she's been
ugh,
engaged in school, and I think it's mostly because of the friends she ended up hanging out with in middle school, and that could all change in high school. So we'll see what happens.
it is so important, and this is not part of the story. It's just a story for my life. Both of my children, at different points in high school, got dumped by their friend group or by like
Mm,
a
it's
best friend
so
or a friend
hard.
group.
Yeah.
And I haven't written or talked about that yet. I struggle, especially as they're getting older, with what stories are mine to tell versus which
Yes.
stories am I so on the
Absolutely.
periphery.
Yep.
But I think it's relevant to mention here, um, because not in this article, but in your writing and in talking to you and getting to know you as a mom, I know community is really important. Um, and in the case of both of these, I'm a mom who I'm a this will shock you. I'm like super extroverted and I love to build community. And so I have always done that with my kids' friends. This is the house where they would frequently gather. I know all the moms from when they were younger. You're talking about this like set group of friends, and you think if it's a good group, you're like, okay, this is going to protect them. And I
Hmm.
found that all of those community connections meant nothing when the kids made a decision.
Yep.
Um, and especially in the case of my youngest, a pretty unfair decision. And when I leaned into that community and said, my daughter needs support right now, like, can you please talk to your kids about essentially a bullying behavior that was happening with another kid in the friend group that pushed her out? Not
Hmm.
one of them came, did anything. And so
Hmm.
I'm interested to talk to you about like building. I know this may be tangential to your experience. I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but like building parenting community and sustaining it.
Hmm.
And I'm going to layer on top of that a like, when do you lean in as a parent versus when do you let the kids figure it out on your own? Do you have any thoughts around all of that?
That is also so hard.
Yeah,
And I've dealt with that in some forms.
yeah.
There is a split in my daughter's friend group,
Mm,
and I I considered myself friends with the parents of one of the girls who my daughter was no longer friends with, and it didn't seem like there were bullying behaviors necessarily, but, I mean, to me, it seemed like the same thing happened to me in high school. I was friends with maybe 9 other girls, and then we kind of factioned off, and there was some
yeah,
hurt feeling, sure. Um, but it was interesting trying to navigate that with the parent, and
yeah.
you always feel a little defensive and protective of your own child,
Mhm.
and, honestly, the result has been as far as I know, there's no hard feelings or bad blood, but those parents aren't really in my life anymore. It's strange. I feel like, that I am, as you know, just especially post-divorce, putting so much effort into trying to build up various communities, and they still feel very tenuous to me, and
Yeah.
rather fractured. My son had a one of his best friends lived across the street, and I was just really lucky to have parents within walking distance who sort of shared my free range mentality and would let their kids out on bikes and kind of to roam around. He still has friends within walking distance, but the one across the street, his mother was renting, and the landlord decided to sell the house, and she could no
Oh,
longer live us in the neighborhood, and that was that. And he hasn't seen this child now since it's been over a year. And I considered the mother a friend, and we got to. But it's that proximity when it was no longer there. It was
it's
really hard, really hard to get in the car and plans via text. It's just like one more thing. So,
right?
um,
And then you have
yeah.
to explain to your kids that, like, "I'm sorry, our shitty economy and the fact that we don't tax billionaires, so everything is unaffordable, took your best friend away from you."
Yeah,
Like, it's
totally. It
it
was
is
really
all
sad.
a system, right? The world can be unfair like that. Um, one factor when we talk about community and support, um, one factor I know you've written about is that you are somewhat recently and happily divorced. So you are a single mom, um, dad in the picture and helping, but when you have them, it is just you. How has that shifted your view on community and um, needing a village, so to speak?
Yeah, and dad has, been in the picture very sporadically. It's maybe
Oh,
a week every 4 months or so.
oh, okay. So
Yeah,
you
and
really are a single mom. That's
he's actually moving to another state, which given the state of our relationship is, I think, a good thing.
oh my gosh, my hat's
But
off to you, mama. That's hard work. So,
yeah. Um I know that you have an amicable co-parenting relationship, and I'm definitely I admire divorced couples who can pull that off, and I'm also jealous. But
yeah.
it is what it is, and I think the silver lining has been that it's really incentivized me to try to build more community. Um, I feel a lot less lonely now in divorce than I did in my marriage, which sounds counterintuitive.
No, it doesn't at all.
And
I get it. I
yeah,
to
I think I've written about this, but in my marriage, I was trying to play a role, and I was trying to present myself in a certain way to the world. And it's not like I never confided in people when I was having a hard time, but I was very attached to the image of projecting the image of a happy nuclear family. And that felt very lonely. It was very hard for me to kind of peel away that facade, and be vulnerable with people. And I also at times felt like I was the only one going through this. And then you got out talking to people, and you're like, nope, there's a lot of people who are struggling in their marriages and struggling a lot. There are a lot of stories behind those happy family photos you see on social media.
oh my god, so true. You know what? We should start a movement. I'm just gonna declare it here in front of you and everyone in the chat of I have noticed that when we were younger, my friends and I, that, we would get together, girlfriends, and you'd talk about your boyfriends, right? You'd be like, oh my God, he's being such an asshole, or oh my God, he's being so great. But you kind of knew the state of things in your friends' relationships because it was not public knowledge, but it was like you had like a friend DA, not an NDA, but a friend DA where you shared all the shit that was going on. And I somehow know I married slightly later than a lot of my friends did, but they all walled off. Once it
Yeah.
became clear that their
Same.
relationship was going to be the relationship, that they were getting
Yes.
married and forming a partnership, boy, did they go away. And once they got married, they kind of disappeared into couple land, a lot of them.
Yes.
And I either didn't see them at all, or when I would see them, it just felt very like polite society. And the only way I had found out that their relationships had any conflict was when, as they were exiting, and they would come and be like, okay, so I haven't told you, but I've been miserable for years, the and it was like a levee breaking, and I did the same thing in my marriage. Like,
Mhm.
it becomes that the partner becomes the partnership becomes protected. There is no
Yeah.
longer friend DA, or if there is a friend DA, the relationship DA overrides it, and you only find out as things are breaking up. And I propose, let's put this out there, like, ladies, but gentlemen too, have your friend DAs. Because
Yes. Yeah.
you need that release valve. Probably a lot of marriages would be saved if you had your friends to check you and to be like, "You need to talk about that. That's a bad thing, and that's gonna fester," or,
Mhm.
we would at least not feel so lonely because
Yeah.
it's so weirdly isolating, right? When you're like, "Everyone thinks I'm happy, and I can't talk about what I'm not happy about because it's protected."
Yes. I
Oh my
I
gosh.
fully agree.
So
Um,
everybody out there, if you are in a partnership, if you are married, have your secret group of friends who you have a friend DA with that you can share shit. Otherwise, um, we all just assume your life is idyllic and perfect until it snaps, and that's never a good way to go through your feelings. And it is also lonely to parent tweens and teens,
mhm.
especially as a single parent, because you don't have the partner to be like, well, I do to an extent, not in my home, but
Yeah.
I can text their dad at any time and be like, "This is happening, and we can talk about it." And
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that. But, your article, it states it only a little, but I could feel steeped within it the loneliness of trying to on the fly parent a teen or tween because you're no longer setting the rules for them.
Yes.
You are, you're out, right? And they're rolling their eyes at you. It's like a kind of aggressive thing to be
Yeah.
targeted by a teen or tween, and you're bearing the brunt of it because 'cause you're the safest person as their mother,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I'm monologuing. Let me ask you the question I'm trying to get to here is of, like, how how do you parent while also managing your own loneliness? Like, do you have ways in which you deal with that?
Yeah. Um, Again, yeah, I don't really believe in parenting experts, and I certainly do not consider myself one, but,
Lived
I
experience. That's
yes.
all the expertise you need.
I yeah, and what works for my kids might not work for your kids, but, what I really landed on lately, I get very much up in my head about everything I'm potentially doing wrong as a parent, especially as they
Yeah.
get older. I feel like they're, you know, on a very fundamental level, like the things they eat and consume have become
Yes.
very much outside of my control.
Right?
Um, I wasn't. I have met parents who were more controlling over the food that their kids ate when they were younger, but I definitely always, tried. I made an effort to have healthy food in the house and to make sure my kids weren't getting too much sugar and all of that. Just like now,
Oh, yeah.
like I'm, well,
Good new freebasing airheads?
yeah,
Great.
still try to have some healthy food in the house, but that counts for less and less. Um, so yes, I have definitely been grappling with that loss of control as I've mentioned. And screen time is another thing I
Mm.
could talk for hours about, but I definitely just I
No,
reached a point
same.
where I was like, I cannot fight big tech. I am one person. Big tech has a profit motive. They're trying to get our kids addicted. I am trying to set limits and, not have my kids totally cut out of their social circles. And that's its whole own thing. But my point is, there's a lot of things I thought I wouldn't do as a parent,
Right?
or don't feel that great about. And it all comes back to me like consistency, stability, and love. Like those are the three things that
Yes.
I try to provide on a daily basis. And I feel like if I can do those things, and that doesn't mean I never get upset with my kids or, never, oh my gosh, yell at them sometimes. But if I can provide those things on a daily basis, I feel like they're yeah, I don't even know what it means to turn out okay. When people say that,
Right.
I'm like, we're all a mess. But I feel like I'm helping to set them up for a thriving life. I don't even want to say success because I don't really believe in the metrics for success that we set out as a society.
I
Um,
love that, a thriving
yeah.
life. What does that look like to you? Like, so I have my daughter will start college in the fall. The letters are rolling in. Holy,
Yeah.
holy crap, the magnitude of trying to help your kid make this decision, especially in today's world where you're like, where am I launching you into? If you've read my writing, you know that this is a thing for me. But I have been dwelling a lot on like, I only have a few months left of her officially living under my roof. What do I still need to teach her? So, like, what will success look like to you, if not the traditional metrics? Like, what to you is like I have done my job as a mom. Like,
That's a great question. Yeah, for me, at one point I might have said, that they found a career they were happy in, and we all have to make money. I hope they are able to find something they enjoy doing. But my definition of success, I have no expectations around what profession they're going to pursue. And I'm very clear and open with my kids that, they're never going to get any pressure from me to get married and or have kids. That if that's something they feel like they want to do, great. um, so I don't, yeah, I don't feel like they need to partner to be successful. I don't feel like they need to have children to be successful. I want them to find their community, really.
right.
I think if they can find that uh it might be various communities, but just find the support networks that we all need to get through life. Um and be kind and empathetic human beings. I feel like I'll have done my job well.
I love kind and empathetic human beings. I have summed it up before as like they come out the way they are. My two kids are
Uh-huh.
very different, and as a parent, your job is to guide them so they hopefully don't grow up to be sociopaths.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Excuse me. It's
Yeah.
excuse me. They
Bless
always come in
you.
pairs. Thank you. I had a hideous cold for like 2 weeks. Regulars on the show can tell you I've been like, "Ah."
No,
So
oh
I'm
no, that's
finally
the
mostly
worst.
over it, but I don't know what that sneezing was. I'm like, no more, no more sick. I'm done to be ready to be done with that for a good long while. Um, yeah, I love having this conversation with you and folks in the chat. If you have questions that you want to weigh in with or advice for us, so much like there's a whole parenting category on Substack. You were number one on it once, which I clapped for. But most of the creators I found on there have little kids. That's where most of them, like the mommy blogging is like, breastfeeding versus bottle feeding and co-sleeping and these things that it feels both like it happened 1,000 years ago to another person and like it was yesterday, because
Yep.
those things can both exist. But those questions seem so quaint because my only advice for parents about that at this point is like, none of that matters. Oh, did you have a C-section instead of a natural birth? Literally nobody cares. And it will not matter at all in how you parent and how
Yes.
your kid turns out. Like, I know babies who were completely formula fed and they are completely bonded to their parents and they are healthy humans now. Like, it matters in that you feel comfortable with your decisions. But it feels like there is a dearth of strong content creators, and by that I mean writers and podcasters, talking about parenting through tween and teen stuff.
Yes.
If you know of good ones, or if anyone in the chat does, please put that out there because um, we all need our communities, literal and virtual. So
Yeah.
you are part of mine. I've been enjoying your work since we were both on Medium. It looks like we have a question coming up here from Lynette. Did you have to work on yourself, and how upfront are you with your kids about your growing? That's a great question.
It's a good
Uh,
question.
yeah.
I mean, I'm perfect. I have no work to do on myself. So.
I mean, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, I have no tattoos, but if I were to ever get one, I think it would say work in progress because that's how I feel about myself. And yeah, I am working on myself every day, and I think that's a really good question because it's something that I'm also working on as far as being honest with my kids. I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
I I am less hard on myself. There's this whole parenting philosophy that you like don't show emotion with your kids because that teaches them that they have control over you and you should like never yell at them. And I've
Oh my gosh.
um, I've grappled with a lot of guilt over that because sometimes I reach the end of my patience, and sometimes we're trying to get somewhere and I need to raise my voice. But if I feel like I didn't approach something in the best way with my kids, or I feel like if I was really impatient with them or dismissed them or got angry unnecessarily, it's that repair work that's really important to me. It's the recognition that I'm never going to respond in the moment like the perfectly right way. But I really try to model returning and taking accountability. As a
Mhm.
short example, my daughter just wrapped up basketball season and it was this is, I feel like team sports are supposed to be a positive force in her life. And this was a really, really rough season. There were some really
Oh,
uneven teams. They lost almost every game. And she was
ah,
so hard on her. She's very much a leader on the team, but, she hates missing baskets. And she would just, the whole ride home, yeah, I would have to brace myself during the game for the ride home.
yeah.
And I got really upset with her once in the car because she was being there's so much negative self-talk over how badly she played.
Wow.
Um, and I started raising my voice and getting all intense and it spiraled and escalated. We got home and just sort of parted ways for a little bit. And with some time to reflect, I said that was not a productive way to handle that at all. She was really upset, and me yelling at her to not be upset was like not helpful. Um, so I found her later. I call them our kitchen floor conversations. We have a very small kitchen, and I'm often in it,
Okay.
like preparing food. And she likes to come and just sit on the floor. And sometimes she doesn't talk, but she just sits there. And sometimes we have some really good conversations. So I found her sitting on the kitchen floor, and I just sat next to her,
Oh,
and I said, this is I handled that very poorly, and I'm really sorry. Like, that was not what you needed, and I should have just listened and validated. So it's like, yeah, I don't I don't get things right a lot. I think when I can recognize that I didn't handle something well and model what it looks like to take accountability for that, that's important for them. And I think
right.
they're very aware that I'm human, and they're happy to point out when I'm not doing things right in their opinion. It's a growing process for all of us to be sure.
100%. And I absolutely am aligned with you. And I love that you're like, the most important thing as a parent is to show them that you are not like a monolith of truth, that you are a human being who can apologize and admit when she's wrong. Um,
Mhm.
I don't remember really having that modeled for me. And I think that that's, like, one of the biggest life lessons that they need to take with them is that it's not, it doesn't take away from your power as a mom to be like, "I didn't do that very well, and I'm sorry." It's acknowledging that they're human. Again, generationally, I think in the past, parents were advised, like, not to show weakness in front of your kids, that sort of parenting is a battlefield. I don't know if you got this messaging from your elders, but I remember when my daughter was, like, a toddler, my mom and stepdad visiting and then being like, "Oh, she's got you wrapped around her finger," or, "She's trying to manipulate you," and I'm like, "No, she's a toddler having a tantrum, like, normal developmental shit, and it's not manipulating me, it's I mean, yes, they are learning how to find their way through the world, but, like, everything just had this adversarial tone of, like, you had to
Yes.
win as a mom, and especially as they get older, I think it's far more important to model that, like, we're human, and
Yes.
you, child, are gonna need to come into this very human and perfect world. Here's a question. Thank you, Karen, for pointing it out. Um, what has Oh, this is a really good question, and we both have experience with this. What
Mhm.
has your experience been regarding nurturing sibling connections and bonds? What comes up for you regarding this topic?
Yeah,
Um,
great
love that
question.
question. Yeah.
I am probably unsurprisingly struggling with that. So my son is almost 11, daughter's 14. It's a tricky age gap, and
Mm.
they
4 years and another gender.
yeah, it's about 3.5 years. And they also have an older brother, my stepson, who is 26, and they don't want to
Okay.
have a lot to do with each other right now. um, they're kind of in very parallel worlds, but when we do try to do things as a family, it can become very contentious very quickly. I have written about my struggle with family dinner. I'm like very attached to eating dinner together.
Yes.
That has become less and less feasible as they have all these activities in the evening, but whenever we can, I like to, and then I get very frustrated when it just starts off, with sibling conflict and contention. Um, and I also, I'm sensory sensitive and I'm a processor, so when they start going at it, it stresses me out in the moment, and I just want it to
Oh.
stop.
Mhm.
I'm not that great in the moment at, like, trying to mediate between them. So,
Oh, I'm sorry,
but
I
I
get why that's hard.
yes. Um, and I think they'll be close later in life. I had a younger sister with a similar age gap. We shared a room growing up. I did not care for her. I was just constantly
Oh.
annoyed. um, she was just always my annoying little sister. And then I distinctly remember getting to college and she was in high school. I was like, oh, she's not so bad. But
Right.
that just takes time for that age gap to feel less. So we have some very nice moments. One thing I've learned as a parent, and particularly with adolescents, you you hold on to the nice moments when they present themselves. Even if everything
True.
devolves 2 minutes later, you're like, oh, well, we had that nice moment earlier. I used to be of the mindset, especially if we did an excursion, that if it ended badly, the whole thing was a waste of time. And why do we bother
Uh-huh.
doing that? But I'm like, I'm really trying to notice and treasure the good moments in life. So we've kind of recently, at their request, instituted a game night, which I'm super
Oh, I
excited
love
about.
that.
Games. We'll see if it keeps going. The other thing I struggle with is how much to force my kids to do. But that's been very nice. And my son's finally at an age where he can be a real competitor in games.
Oh, good.
It takes a while. Yeah. So whatever ways we can find to spend time together, I take advantage of, and it's not that much. I feel like we're kind of all living on our separate trajectories, kind of busy with our own things. and even a lot of the community building work I'm trying to do, like,
Yeah.
a lot of it is adult communities and doesn't really involve the kids, and, it's just something like, "Oh, mom has her meeting on Tuesday night, she's gonna be gone." I wish there was a way to integrate those worlds a little bit more, but, yeah, we're certainly sometimes feel like we're ships passing in the night, but, just carving out some time to be together is really important to me in whatever form that takes.
It is. Um, and if I can take a crack at that same question, I share your belief too of like, it can be imperfect now and you can like we have the wisdom of age to be like, oh yeah, these two are gonna really get along, I hope, once they're
Mhm.
out of the home and they're gonna need each other to be like, can you believe what mom just said? Only they will like that's how I am with my younger brother. Um, my two are only they're 2.25 years apart. So they're closer and they're both girls.
Mhm. Mhm.
Here's my weird circumstance because they come out the way they come out. My older child, like, I've never seen such a dark expression on a little child's face as when she saw her younger sister. For the first month that she was at home, we could not hold the baby in front of the toddler without
Wow.
her losing her mind.
Wow.
Luckily, she was in daycare during the day so that, and my
Yeah.
mom was there, so my mom, grandma could hold the baby, but if she saw me holding the baby, she'd lose her mind. And so that, like, dreamy photo that you get, of, like, the newborn and the big sister looking on, and, like, it took a month until I could get a photo of them together, and I treasure those photos.
Yeah.
Um, and so she really had to come to it in her own time, and I think there's still a part of her that's like, "I wanted to be an only child."
Yep. I hear that from my kids.
Because my younger one has just grown up being all empathy, and my older one has historically lacked empathy, and it's been something we've worked on our whole life, and I'm proud to
Mhm.
report she's a young adult now, she's 18, and she legit now, has a sense of empathy that feels very real, because she had to we had to teach her of,
Yeah.
her when she was, like, 2 or 3, her friends would get hurt in front of her, and she'd just freeze or run away, and her
Mhm.
preschool teacher came to us and was like, "I don't think it's a." She just doesn't know how to process that emotion, which is supposed to be, "Oh, are you okay?" So we really had to teach her, like, you just check in, even if you don't feel it or if you feel scared, you check in. So I think that that's been a process with her sister as well, and it is now becoming natural. The tricky part is the day to day of my older
Mm.
daughter has a far more robust life. She can drive.
Yep.
My younger one doesn't have her license yet, and so she'll think to do all these things, and I'll be like, "Can you bring your sister too?" Or, um, not all the time, in fact, not most of the time because I know they have their own lives, their own friend groups, but there are times when I'm like, "I'm going to be doing something during that time period, and I don't want your sister home alone doing nothing." Like, you
Yes.
need to include her,
Mhm.
and that I it's forced, but then, like, they have developed their moments from it, and
Mhm.
it's so nice that they go on their sister drives, and I have no idea what I know they're going to get boba tea or they're going on Target runs, and it's, like, so cute to me that I'm like, they're having adventures I don't know about.
Yeah, I love that. I send my kids on errands, so we're lucky that we can walk to a grocery store and, yes, they can get, coffee drinks or whatever sugar-filled, slightly caffeinated drinks they like,
Yes.
but it's very sweet because neither of them are driving yet, and I'm both looking forward to and fearful of that phase, but sending them out to, like, do something that's actually helpful for me, like, "Hey, can you go buy some toilet paper?" Helps them feel useful, and I really, appreciate, them having their own little adventures in the world together.
Right, and it's important for them to feel part of the household, right? So, like, that they're contributing in their own ways
Yeah.
and given that sense of independence with guardrails
Yep.
is so important. Um, I had so many questions written down here about your article, and I feel like the conversation, it as is typical, it's a conversation, so I haven't gotten through all of them, but I really wanna touch on, you in this article, which, I'm gonna reshare it. Actually, if Karen, if you can put the link in again, because I know a lot of folks have joined since the early part. You quote the poem Good Bones, which is,
Mhm.
I'm not much of a poetry reader, but of course I know that one about the world is a really hard place, but just like a realtor, we're trying to sell it to our kids that it has
Yes.
good bones. Um, Selling your children a world you know is a shithole, but you still see the foundation, the structure underneath it is having good bones. Do you still believe that you can make it beautiful or that our kids have the ability to make it beautiful? How do you hold on to it when you see, the world all around us?
Um, I sure hope. Again, it's hard to know what will stick. I have we're told to have all these talks with our kids. Like we need to talk to them about sex, and I have to talk to them about racism and sexism and all this stuff, drugs, alcohol.
Yeah,
I and I've written about this too. I think it's really important to keep open lines of communication around all that. But I think at the end of the day, the things we say are much less important than the things we do.
yeah,
And I hope that they are in some form or fashion absorbing my efforts to create my own pocket of beauty in a very,
yeah.
very ugly world. And I hope that they take some of that away. My parents were very community minded. We had a little neighborhood community. I grew up in San Francisco and in the middle of the city, and we had upstairs neighbors who had kids, and my best friend lived
Oh,
her
that's so
backyard
nice.
was kitty corner from mine, and we had a gate and we could go back and forth. We had a neighborhood community that came together on holidays, and also
Love that.
yeah, and they both taught at the school that I went to, and had a school community that very much reinforced all the values I was getting at home. So I've been jealous of the way they were able to to choreograph their lives to some extent, and I feel like they set an example for me that I'm following. I have organized two neighborhood block parties now. I'm trying to like make it an annual tradition, and we did a holiday potluck in our house with just we have like a text group going with neighbors on the street. Um, and that's not that often. It's like once or twice a year, but I just think it's so important to bring people together.
I
It's
love it.
so important to have. I hope that they see me asking for help and kind of developing these networks of mutual aid
Yes.
and I hope they see me just prioritizing friendship and relationships over my job, over having the beautiful, perfect house, all the
Oh
things
my
that
God.
we're told we need to value and focus on in adulthood. And again, we'll see what sticks. It's hard
We
to know.
will. We will indeed. Quickly, because I know we're almost at the top of the hour, but one thing that you touched on there, it's that you need to talk about sexism and racism. Your children are mixed race, and your daughter is Black presenting, and your essay doesn't center that, but it's there. It's present. It's not in the headline. Was it a deliberate choice, and does that feel like a tension that, as a white mom, you're still navigating?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I have written more about it in other stories, but I think just I can relate to some of her experiences as a female coming of
yep.
age. I know you wrote recently about your daughters getting ogled by middle-aged men. The first
Oh
time
yeah.
that happened, I was walking with my daughter. She was 9 years old.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god, this is new." Um, so I can relate to those, and I'm very aware that she is also having experiences as a biracial teen who, is considered Black, but also isn't considered quite Black enough by Black kids at her school. People who are biracial have to navigate so many so many different worlds. We actually had a really interesting conversation yesterday. She is on a relay team in track, and everyone on her relay team is Black or biracial. And when I pick her up from practice, I have noticed that she talks with a slightly different accent and intonation. She sounds more Black. And I just asked her about it, if that was something that she noticed, and I was kind of expecting her to say, "Whatever, mom, I don't know what you're talking about." But
Right.
she said, "Is it that obvious?" Like, she was very aware that she was doing it, and it led to a really good conversation about code switching and how she feels
Mhm.
pressure to present herself in different racial groups. She feels self-conscious that her friend group in middle school is largely white, and feels like she's gotten some flack for that from kids of color at her school. So she's just navigating a lot, and I am gonna try my best, as a white parent to understand and be there for her, and I also know, like, I'm not gonna be able to relate on every level.
That is a whole other layer of complexity
Yes.
of, phew, again, my hat is off to you, especially when the parent who could relate, her father, is not really in the picture. So you're having to play both roles from the more privileged side of her racial identity. Like, that must be
Yeah.
so challenging.
Yeah.
Um, I have so many fears about releasing my daughters into the world, and it is so eminent, as that story writes about, the middle-aged men keep ogling my daughter. um, the soup of emotions that we need to process are so at odds with one another, um, and also, some of them are so ugly, and like, you sort of don't have any place for it. There's, like, rage where you just wanna, like, take these men and, like,
Yeah.
be like, "How dare you? How dare you? This is my child," and then there's the indignation of, like, "You're my peer. Why do you not see me as a sexual being? Why do you see my child as a sexual being?"
Yeah.
And there's a little grief of, like, I'm coming out of this age, and also relief, "Oh, thank God I don't have to deal with that kinda leering anymore." But the
Exactly.
fear, the pride of how our daughters carry themselves with confidence, and then the fear of, like, they don't quite know what the consequences of that could be.
Yeah.
Um, Boy, oh boy,
Feel
it's
like
a
we could
super
talk for another hour. That brings up a lot for sure.
it does, and then you have, like, I imagine the fear of your daughter being kind of fetishized, or, like,
Yeah.
what's
She's always seen as
crazy.
much older, yeah, and I think there's a tendency to sexualize Black women more, or see them as older and more mature than they
Yes.
actually are, so that's definitely been a fear for me as well.
This is something that has come to my attention only recently, and this is my bias as a white mom of white kids, that Black kids, especially tweens, as they're coming of age, are seen and treated like they are much older than they are. Has that been your experience with your children?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
and it's
interesting.
interesting. I mean, my daughter also presents as a very mature person, which I think is good. But I mean, we went to a show where people who were over 21 got wristbands, and
Yeah.
she was offered a wristband. I was
Oh my
like,
gosh. At
she's
14.
14. Yes.
Ugh,
So there's a lot I worry about, especially she transitions to high school where there will be a lot of older kids, and just yeah, just how she will be treated. She'll be treated in a way that maybe her brain hasn't quite caught up to the way that she's being treated by the outside world.
right? That is so unfair. To be like, you're 14 and people are gonna perceive you like you're in your early 20s, and they're gonna expect you to act like it and know how to
Yeah.
handle situations that, oh my gosh, that mama, that puts extra pressure on you to be like, "You're gonna need to know how to react here."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still have my mama bear tendencies, and I will be putting them to use.
Oh my gosh, well, good. We're gonna need them for sure. We are at the top of the hour. Do you have any final words you would like to impart about what it's like parenting teens and tweens in this, what did you call it? Toxic fractured world. I love
Yeah.
that. I mean, I don't
Just
love that we're living in one, but I like the
yeah.
sort of phrase.
Just solidarity to everyone else trying to do this, especially people who feel like their values are at odds with the broader world and trying to figure out how to navigate that as a parent, no matter how old your kids are. It's a messy journey. And yeah, as I mentioned, my focus is holding on to those moments of delight, and there are many of those as well, in the midst of all the challenges.
Oh my gosh. I love hold on to your moments of delight in parenting and in all things.
Yes, absolutely.
Those are the moments that make the world's bones feel intact.
Exactly. There is still a lot of beauty in the world. We just have to work harder to find and hold on to it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Carola, thank you so much for coming on the Daily Whatever Show and especially on this fine feminist hour. We didn't even dig into feminism, but I don't that part of the intent of the show is that that the topics are addressing it. We don't need to underline and bold the word.
Yes.
We are two
Yes.
women clearly forging our way through this world and trying to teach our children to do the way, and that is a profound act of feminist
Yeah,
integrity. So
absolutely. I think parenting
yeah.
can be a very feminist act for
Oh
sure.
my gosh, it surely is. Thank you to everyone in the chat for your questions, for your input, I see everybody having this great chat. Karen, thank you for being such an amazing moderator and keeping things going. We love you all, mean it. Come back tomorrow. Lawrence will be back. It's Fucked Up Friday. I already have my news story picked out thanks to Jason Odell. He sent me the perfect story. But that is our weekly news recap, and we will be a friendly competition to see who can find the most fucked up news of the week. And we have Lisa from We Are the Third Estate returning to the show for the big competition. So hope to see you all same time, same place tomorrow. Love you,
Thank you
mean
all so
it. Thanks
much.
again, Carola. Bye.